Some people disappear quietly. No dramatic goodbye, no public breakdown, no explanation. One day they stop replying as fast, then they stop showing up. Then eventually, people stop inviting them altogether, and the world immediately creates a story about them. They're antisocial. They think they're better than everyone. They're awkward. They don't care. But psychology reveals something far more disturbing. Most people who rarely socialize are not running away from people. They are running away from exhaustion. There is a difference, a massive one, because for certain people, social interaction is not casual. It is labor, invisible labor. Every room becomes a battlefield of signals. Every conversation becomes psychological multitasking. Every interaction drains energy most people never even realize they are spending. And the cruelest part? The world punishes you for struggling with something other people perform effortlessly. Imagine two men entering the same crowded room. One walks in and relaxes naturally. He laughs, talks, moves between conversations effortlessly. His nervous system treats the environment like neutral terrain. But the second man, his brain immediately starts scanning. Tone of voice, facial expressions, pauses, micro-reactions, eye contact, body language, social hierarchy, hidden tension, subtext. His nervous system never fully powers down, even while smiling, even while participating, even while pretending to enjoy himself. And by the time he gets home, he feels psychologically disassembled, not because people were cruel, not because he hates socializing, but because his mind processed the room at 10 times the intensity. Psychologists sometimes describe this as high cognitive sensitivity or nervous system overarousal, but those clinical words barely capture what it feels like internally. Because internally, it feels like carrying invisible weight nobody else notices. This is why certain people vanish for days after social events. Not because they are angry, not because they dislike you, because their brain needs recovery. And modern culture completely misunderstands this. The loudest people dominate social spaces, so society unconsciously treats extroversion like psychological health. Meanwhile, silence gets pathologized. Stillness becomes suspicious. Solitude becomes weakness. But here's the paradox nobody wants to admit. Many socially withdrawn people are not emotionally disconnected at all. They are emotionally overloaded. That changes everything. And once you understand this, you start seeing modern social life differently. Because most social interaction today is performance, not connection. Performance, small talk, status calibration, image management, predictable scripts repeated endlessly. How have you been? What's new? How's work? Same loops, same masks, same rehearsed personalities. And for some people, those conversations feel spiritually empty, not because they lack social skill, but because their nervous system craves something deeper than ritualized noise. The modern world rewards surface-level charisma, but certain minds hunger for psychological substance. They want conversations that expose something real: fear, meaning, desire, contradiction, truth, not endless verbal wallpaper covering silence. This is why some people sit quietly in crowded rooms feeling completely detached, while everyone else appears entertained. Because they're starving emotionally in environments overloaded with stimulation, but empty of intimacy. The body is present, but the mind feels alone. And eventually, solitude starts feeling safer than performance. This is where the psychological shift happens. The world calls it isolation, but internally, it often feels like relief. No monitoring, no social calibration, no invisible pressure to perform personality correctly. Just silence. Peaceful silence. And once the nervous system discovers that peace, it becomes addictive. Not in a destructive way, in a survival way. Because solitude gives something overstimulated people desperately crave: control, predictability, emotional stability. Think about how exhausting modern social life has become. Reply fast enough, stay entertaining, maintain conversations, react correctly, stay available, keep the connection alive, never disappear too long, never become emotionally inconvenient. Human interaction has quietly transformed into maintenance work, and for highly sensitive minds, that maintenance becomes suffocating. This is why disappearing feels easier than explaining exhaustion. Because trying to explain social exhaustion to people who are energized by constant interaction often feels impossible. They interpret withdrawal as rejection, but it is not rejection. It is self-preservation. the nervous system protecting itself from overload. And the deeper problem is this: the more socially exhausted someone becomes, the more hyper-aware they become inside interactions. This creates a brutal psychological loop. They enter conversations already overstimulated. Then their brain begins monitoring itself in real time. Did I sound weird? Did I say too much? Did they misunderstand me? Am I being awkward? Should I have responded differently? Now the mind is split into two people, one trying to participate, the other analyzing every movement from above, the performer and the observer. And when those two versions of yourself operate simultaneously, socializing becomes mentally exhausting. Even simple conversations start feeling cognitively heavy. This is why solitude feels effortless afterward, because when alone, the observer finally rests. No performance, no monitoring, no invisible audience, just existence without interpretation. And this creates another painful misunderstanding. People often assume quiet individuals lack confidence, but many are not insecure. They are simply overprocessing. They notice too much. Subtle emotional shifts, tiny inconsistencies, microexpressions, changes in tone. The average person filters these signals unconsciously, but highly aware minds absorb all of it, constantly, which means social environments become psychologically loud even when physically quiet. And eventually, the nervous system starts associating solitude with safety itself. That is not weakness. That is conditioning. If repeated social experiences feel draining, disappointing, performative, or emotionally unrewarding, the brain adapts. The body learns, alone feels safer. And once that association becomes strong enough, something strange begins happening. The person no longer fears loneliness. They begin preferring it. Not because they stopped loving people, because peace became more valuable than proximity. But this creates a hidden tragedy, because many people secretly longing for deep connection slowly become experts at avoiding shallow connection. And over time, they accidentally isolate themselves from both. The king retreats into the castle. The world calls him cold, but nobody sees the exhaustion that built the walls. And in part 2, we need to confront the deeper psychological cost of this pattern, because people who rarely socialize are often carrying one hidden trait that completely changes how they experience relationships, trust, and emotional intimacy itself.